Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits as it should. Happy Friday to all y'all. Happiest of Fridays to every single last one of y'all. Okay. It is the weekend. Yes. Or, after your work day, it is going to be the weekend. And I got to be honest. I was like, you know what? We have got to talk about some other things that are going on in the world. And this is something that I thought was very, very interesting. This interview. We have got to take a look at some of these moments in this interview. I think they're very interesting, very thought-provoking, and obviously everybody should be taking a look at this. This is interesting. Nonetheless, I got some questions, which we are going to talk about here in just a little bit. But yes, like I said, this is Friday. I was like, you know what? Let's switch it up just a little bit and talk about something else that's going on in the other side of this true crime realm. And this is something that I found to be very interesting. And there's a reason. There's kind of a... I'll explain in a little bit. All right. But do me a favor, guys. Do me a solid. All right. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Crush it. Do what you need to do. If you're watching on any other platforms like Facebook and whatnot, please be sure to hit that reaction button down below while you're watching this show. That it just helps the show grow. Get this video out here for other people to watch. I just thought this was a very interesting interview. He comes with receipts? Like receipts? Question mark? We're going to talk about it. But yeah, like I said, hit that like button down below if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that reaction button. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you're watching on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X/Twitter, any of those social medias. Please follow me on there. Hit that follow button. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to crush that subscribe button on YouTube. That'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. And of course, if you want to support the channel, by all means, hit that join button down below. Become a member of the family. Consider becoming one of them. Or you can support the channel over on Patreon if you want to support even further. And we are having some really great members chats over there, some really great conversations being brought up and starting to stew over on the Patreon page. So please become a patron. Go over there, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. It's in the ticker down below going this way as we speak underneath me right now. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. Okay? All righty then. Let's get into it, guys. We have got to talk about this. Now, what's very interesting about this is we haven't heard from this man in a while. I mean, he's been creeping back into conversations. He's been creeping back into interviews and all this stuff. But as of recently, we have not heard a lot about him or of him. He has basically been one of the first people on the cancel culture chopping block. I mean, we're going as far back as 2017 on the first wave of allegations. The start, basically, the crack in the dam that started this whole tidal wave of allegations going towards this actor by the name of Kevin Spacey happened all the way back in 2017 by a Broadway actor, TV actor. His name is Anthony Rapp. Talented guy. I mean, from what I remember, seeing him in a bunch of stuff back in the day. I mean, like I said, this guy has done a lot of stuff. But these allegations were the start, was the domino, first domino to fall over. on Kevin Spacey, and then a litany of people, mainly men, stepped forward and said and claimed that Kevin Spacey, this man right here, did these very unthinkable and disturbing things, disgusting, to be honest, against these men's wishes, without their consent, if that makes any sense. But just a little while ago, he was exonerated on all counts. He was looking at, like I said, a tidal wave of allegations. He was exonerated on all of them. Exonerated on all. But he is still now, in a way, trying to get back in the good graces of the public again. Now, you got to remember, this is a highly revered, back then, he was a highly revered, highly loved, highly respected, highly decorated actor. I mean, if you don't know Seven, I'm just going to say Seven. I know that's not one of his. Some people might not say that's some of his best work, but I'm going to be real. That's how I was introduced to Kevin Spacey. Was Seven, and if you don't know about that David Fincher movie, I highly recommend you go checking it out. I know some people don't want to watch it because he's in it and they think he's a monster and so on and so forth. But hey, that movie's fire. I'm sorry, that movie's fire. Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Kevin Spacey. It's just really good. So go check it out. Okay. He's not a good person in the movie. Okay. Hopefully that's not a spoiler, but at the same time, he's not a good person in the movie. Okay. Then you got Usual Suspects. You got American Beauty. You got a gang load of movies that he's done. He's done a lot of stuff for the theater and a lot of stuff for film. Like I said, highly decorated. All kinds of accolades and awards this man has gotten. Okay? And some of these movies that he's been a part of are classics. Usual Suspects is a classic. Seven is a classic. American Beauty is a classic. I mean, now you look at it and it's kind of creepy, you know? If you, let me just tell you, rewatch the movie and tell me it ain't creepy now. I'm talking about American Beauty. And I'm talking about his character in American Beauty. It's kind of the P word. It's kind of the predator type of thing. It's weird. Okay? If you get what I'm saying. All right. Yes, character's name isn't Lester, isn't it? You're right, Pirate's Booty. That's funny. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway. Big, huge movies. But then suddenly out of nowhere in 2017, he was hit with his very first allegation by Anthony Rapp. Now, Anthony Rapp is a Broadway actor, like I said before. I think he was in the original cast of Rent. That was a big rock opera musical back in the day. He's done a bunch of other things, and he's been on TV and in movies as well. But he says that at a very young age, this man took advantage of him, swept him up off his feet, took him up into his bedroom, and tried to do some unthinkable, disturbing things to a young, underage Anthony Rapp. Now, for a long time, I want to explain to you guys, for a long time, everyone is wondering about Kevin Spacey's sexual orientation. Is he gay? Is he straight? Is he bisexual? Is he part of the LGBTQAI community? Right? That was something that people were asking about for a long time. So in this particular moment, when he's alleged of doing these unthinkable things, During a statement that he made, because he had to speak out about these allegations, but he happened to use this opportunity to slide in his sexual orientation. He actually came out in his address about these SA allegations that were made by Anthony Rapp. I'm just giving you a little bit of a trip down memory lane so you guys remember just a skosh of this. But this is his statement right here. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Anthony Rapp as an actor. I'm beyond horrified to hear his story. I honestly do not remember the encounter. It would have been over 30 years ago. But if I did behave, then as he described, I owe him the sincerest apology for what would have been deeply inappropriate, drunken behavior, and I'm sorry for the feelings he describes having carried with him all these years. Now, just starting that part, doesn't that tell you, like, my bad, I don't remember doing it because I was drunk, but there's a chance that I did, but my bad, lo siento. Moving on, he says this story has encouraged me to address other things about my life. I know that there are stories out there about me, and that some have been fueled by the fact that I have been so protective of my privacy. As those closest to me know, in my life, I've had relationships with both men and women. I have loved and had romantic encounters with men throughout my life. And I choose now to live as a gay man. I want to deal with this honestly and openly, and that starts with examining my own behavior, Kevin Spacey. Now, let me tell you how far removed and how distant and how callous this and how tone deaf, that's what I meant, this statement is. This is the most tone deaf statements I've ever heard in my whole entire life. The worst. And we've heard some bad things in our lives. Okay? Let's not forget about Diddy. You know, it's a witch hunt. This has got to stop. Right? And then 15 seconds later, he's like, I'm just a man. I'm in rehab. I checked myself into rehab. I found God. I seek counseling. I'm not a perfect man, but I'm trying to be better every single day. Trials and tribulations. Whoa. Remember all that crap? Yeah. So we've heard some really bad ones before. But this one, he chose an opportunity to be like, okay, now that it's out, the most important thing is me coming out. Not these allegations that happened 30 years ago. Oh, no. No, you got that all wrong, guys. You guys are really wanting to know if I'm gay or not. Does that make any sense? Very tone deaf. Extremely tone deaf. So much that it gets worse. Oh, it does. Do you guys remember this crap? Let me remind you. He was on a hit show on Netflix called House of Cards, which was a great show. But then he got fired from the job. Okay? He got fired from the job. And then they rewrote the whole thing, and then the last season was trash. But still, I was a fan of the show too. Okay? I was a fan of his work. Thought he was a damn good actor. All right? But when you see stuff like this, it just, it irks your soul. But he got fired from that job, right? He was playing a character by the name of Frank. And basically, he's like working his way, climbing the ranks through the White House, okay? The political ranks up until he gets to the top of the totem pole, right? and the crazy, disturbing, and messed up things that he's doing. He's manipulating people. He's lying to people. He's doing all this crazy stuff alongside with his wife, which is basically kind of a political Macbeth, if you will, for lack of a better term. Okay? Now, with that being said, great show. Fan of the show. People loved his character. People loved him as this character. But he goes and he's like, he says that statement going, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to tell you I'm a gay man. Who cares at that point? But this guy does this trash. This is after he's been fired. After he's been fired, he decided, hey guys, I know you guys miss me. So I'm going to do a video acting like my character, addressing these allegations in a YouTube video. Let's take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? Yeah, we shall.
I know what you want. Oh, sure, they may have tried to separate us, but what we have is too strong. It's too powerful. I mean, after all, we shared everything, you and I. I told you my deepest, darkest secrets. I showed you exactly what people are capable of. I shocked you with my honesty, but mostly I challenged you and made you think. And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't. So we're not done, no matter what anyone says. And besides, I know what you want. You want me back.
No, we don't want you back, bruh. Not after this. Hell to the F no. We good, baby. Plenty of other shows in the world. Plenty of other opportunities for writers to write another really great House of Cards type of show. We don't need it. But this is, and I'm not going to play the whole doggone thing. But he's playing this thing like, I know y'all miss me. It's more like a Richard III meets Macbeth type of show, just so you know, okay? I'm a little bit of a Shakespeare nerd. But anyway. This is after. A little while after. And it's weird because I'm wondering, who shot this for him? And why are they... why do they still have a job? Why would they shoot this for this man? Because this is still very tone deaf. And this is not the only one he did. He did other videos. Acting as Frank, the character from House of Cards. Which, by the way, House of Cards, that series, was the first one of its kind on Netflix. It basically was the guinea pig, right? It was the first pancake for all the Netflix series that suddenly came tumbling out afterwards. As soon as that show made a gangload of money because of how many streams and how many people were watching it and people were talking about it and how many accolades it did actually receive from Emmys to, whatever, in TV dramas and all that stuff. Netflix went on and just, as we already know, they now produce a crap ton of shows on Netflix. And actually, other platforms started to follow in suit, right? Now you got Amazon Prime shows and you got Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus shows and all that stuff, right? House of Cards was the first. Just so you know, I know that sounds some random information, but it is true. They were the first streaming show really ever. Ever. Okay? And it paved the way for all the content that we see now. Now we're just getting hit in the face with all this stuff. Hit in the face with streaming series, another Netflix series, And it feels like, and by the way, this is a left turn, but it feels like when it comes to Netflix series as of late, all of them are from a different country. Haven't you noticed that? They're all voiceover, And you're going, is this English? A lot of times, are you not looking at Netflix going, ooh, this looks interesting. Is it in English though? And then the whole trailer will be voiceover showing like random B-roll of like, it's like a true crime thing, you know, who done it, but it'll be like a lake and a spinning wheel or something like that. And it's all voiceover. And then finally, 2 minutes into the trailer, you finally see one person talk and it's like, you know what I mean? I told you to put the milk down. You know what I mean? Like, damn, it's Polish. It's from Poland. Damn it. Damn it. You ever notice that? Ooh, this looks good. Is it in English? Am I the only one that does this? Maybe I'm alone in that thought. But I noticed that a little bit. All these series are coming out from Netflix and they're from another country. Okay. Coming from Bulgaria and Lake Titicaca or something like that. I don't know, but you're just like, where is this coming from? Damn. But it looks good. I'll watch it anyway. You know what I mean? So now you're learning new names like Sergey, and stuff like that. You're like, oh, wow. You know, that's a new name. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm the only one. But anyway, sorry for the left turn. It's Friday. And we got a huge show coming up. 2 big shows coming up today. Okay. Just so you guys know really, really quick before we go into this conversation. All right. Number 1, we still got part 3 of the document dump. So we are going to be going through that this afternoon. And then this evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will have Ian Runkle or Runkle of the Bailey, okay, part of the LawTube world, coming onto the show with me to chop it up about the Karen Reed case and everything that has happened thus far. There's a lot to cover. We are going to be talking about all of that as well. And that's tonight too. So it's a very busy day. It's a very big day. Okay. So I wanted to say, hey, because it's going to be a big day, you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to make sure that we do a show where I'm not, I wanted to do something where I can relax a little bit, because the last 2 days of reading like 400 pages of stuff has been a lot on the trot. But I want to make sure you guys get part 3 today. So that's happening. So just so you guys know what's on the docket for today. All right. Runkle of the Bailey at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight. And then also this afternoon, we are going through more of the documents as a family. And boy, it gets crazy. Okay. But back into this here really quick. As you could tell, this man is completely disconnected to the world. That's what I've come up with. Okay. That's my reasoning now. This man is completely disconnected to the rest of the doggone world. This man is too busy getting all the accolades, getting the monies. I don't think he is even himself anymore because of all the characters that he plays and all that. And don't get me wrong, very talented actor. But at some point, you start wondering where the actor begins and where that character ends. Is Kevin Spacey just playing Kevin Spacey, even in this interview that we're about to watch? I'm quite curious, because there's something about it that just seems a little performative. And that's just me, though. It just seems a bit performative. But he says he comes in with receipts. We're going to talk about that. I got some timestamps. We're going to look into this, all right? But just to get a full understanding of what the heck I'm talking about, and if you're not reading the title, or you're just hopping on because you love me, I appreciate it, okay? I love you too. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for just clicking on this. But this man goes on to Piers Morgan, okay? And if you don't know who Piers Morgan is, I mean, he is a guy. He interviews all kinds of people. He's a TV personality. Some people love him. Some people hate him. It is what it is. Okay. But nonetheless, he gives Kevin Spacey his platform to have a conversation. And oh, do they ever have a conversation? So like I said, I have some timestamps. We're going to be looking at a portion of this interview because it's about an hour and a half long. We're not watching the whole doggone thing, okay? But we're going through moments that I thought that were interesting, and I think we need to check that out. I also want to point this out too. Kevin Spacey was also on Cuomo's show as well, like last week, if I'm correct, or a week before that. But he had a whole conversation with Andrew Cuomo as well. Okay. Chris Cuomo as well. Wow, sorry, I didn't mean that was not that was not meant to be what I meant. But he had an interview with Chris Cuomo, not Andrew Cuomo, but Chris Cuomo. Okay, and it was a brief conversation, but they were talking about all this. But now he's having this full interview, full uninterrupted. Not like you only have 7 minutes to talk type of situation where he gets to just unearth and expose a bunch of things. He talks about J.E., if you know what I'm talking about, Prince Andrew. He talks about Ghislaine. He talks about Clinton. He talks about being too handsy. But then he talks about people who are just making claims that are not true and having receipts saying that, hey, these people are just straight up lying for a quick buck. And of course, he has a moment where he breaks down and talks about how he's broke as F. We're going to talk about and look at that as well. Like I said, we got a couple clips or a couple moments here, timestamps that we're going to go through and check this out as a family. So do me a favor, all right? Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. All right. Do not forget to crush that subscribe button. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. All right. Hit that follow button if you're watching on other platforms, because I know you guys are out there too. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's take a look at this interview. All right. Let's get started. Whoops.
It would have been over 30 years ago. But if I did behave as he describes, I owe him a sincerest apology for what would have been deeply inappropriate drunken behavior.
Now they're starting at the conversation starts at his trashy, tone deaf statement that he put out that I just read to you guys. All right, completely tone deaf.
And I'm sorry for the feelings he describes having carried with him all these years. This story has encouraged me to address other things about my life. I know that there are stories out there about me and that some have been fueled by the fact I've been so protective of my privacy. As those closest to me know, in my life, I've had relationships with both men and women. I've loved and had romantic encounters with men throughout my life, and I choose now to live as a gay man. I want to deal with this honestly and openly, and that starts with examining my own behavior. And that came after he had said, Anthony Rapp, that back in 1986, when he was just 14, that you laid on top of him at a party at his apartment, at your apartment, and that the star was trying to seduce him. He said he picked me up like a groom picks up the bride over the threshold, but I don't like squirm away initially because I'm like, what's going on? But he lays on top of me, he's trying to seduce me.
That doesn't work.
He was trying to get with me sexually. And that prompted your statement. Looking back at the whole scandal, this seems to me the absolutely pivotal moment for you, which had you chosen a different way to handle this, perhaps there would have been a different pathway. Do you feel that?
I absolutely agree with what Piers is saying here. It's like you could have chosen a completely different way of reacting to this and putting out a statement. But what did you choose to do? What did you choose to do? You chose this as an opportunity in this weird, maniacally egotistical way of saying, hey, oh, let me address the fact that I have dated men and women. Like who gives a damn? That's not what people care about. They want to know about if these allegations are true or not.
I'm not sure that I could have said anything that would have been satisfactory. I mean, I listened to that
Are you kidding me?
now, and it's just awful.
What do you feel when you hear your own words?
Well, it takes me back to that day, that Sunday. It takes me back to the hours that we were given to respond. I mean, we were given no time to respond.
And the context for viewers, you may not remember, but this was the time that the Harvey Weinstein scandal had just blown up. Me Too and Time's Up had erupted.
Yes.
There was a frenzy in Hollywood with all sorts of people getting dragged into this. Yeah. So presumably part of your thinking is, I don't want to be one of these people. I need to deal with this quickly.
Yes, and look, I have to take full responsibility for that statement. It stops with me. It was a bad statement. I should have made separate statements about my sexuality and about his accusation. I suppose that the only thing I can hope is that now that we were able to prove in a federal court in 2022 that the accusation that Anthony Rapp had never happened, did not occur, that people will understand that I was coming from a place where in my heart of hearts, I didn't believe it had happened. I was a little bit pushed into the corner because when someone says, I mean, I don't know how you might react, Piers, but if someone says, you know, you did this thing to me 34 years ago and you were so drunk you won't remember, my first initial response wasn't to call him a liar. My first response was to ask myself, did I do something embarrassing? Now, he did say he thought I was trying to get with him sexually, but he did not in any way make any sexual assault allegation against me. He didn't do that until he filed a civil lawsuit.
And he filed a $40 million lawsuit in a Manhattan federal court. But the jury took little over an hour to come back and find you not guilty. And in closing arguments, your lawyer said that Rapp had made up the encounter and suggested reasons why he may have done it. It may be possible, she said, that Rapp invented it based on his experience performing in Precious Sons, a play in which actor Ed Harris picks up Rapp's character and lays on top of him, mistaking him briefly for his wife before discovering it's his son. They came back in just over an hour, and the court ordered Rapp, the accuser, to pay you £40,000. We have a check, I think, a picture of the check at the time.
Receipts. I mean, what's interesting, you know, I just have to pull this statement up one mo again, because here's the thing. You put up a statement like this, right? And in this statement, you are basically saying, hey, you know, but if I did behave then, as he described, I owe him the sincerest apologies for what would have been deeply inappropriate drunken behavior. And I'm so sorry for the feelings he describes having carried with him all these years. He didn't say, I didn't do it, I'm innocent, this is wrong, so on and so forth. He says, if he says that I did this 30 years ago, I don't know, I didn't know. Or if I was drunk, then my bad, I don't remember doing that, so on and so forth. If you are going to sit and stand on your hill, right? Fight on that hill, then you're not instantly saying, okay, well, first off, he says, I honestly don't remember the encounter. Okay, that's a good start. But then he says, but if I did behave in this behavior, I'm so sorry. Instantly, people are going to go, so you're admitting to the guilt. That's an admission of guilt. I was drunk. If it was if it was when I was super drunk, my bad. You see what I'm saying? And then it's like, by the way, this is the moment that I want to make it a huge announcement, guys. I like men. Like, it's like, no. You could have literally just said what these allegations that have come out are not true. And I look forward to proving my innocence. Could have easily said that, but he didn't do that. That's weird. To me, that's weird. Okay? Just circling that back, because that's odd to me, don't you think? And then at the end of the day, he still wins. I'm rolling that back a little bit. He still wins. But you realize that that statement that he put out to the public was the worst thing. It wasn't just him saying, oh, let me come out. Let me just come out. Let me come out the closet now to the public. That's not even part of it. It's the first half too. It's the first half. He could have done what Diddy said. This is wrong. Enough is enough. Whatever. I look forward to proving my innocence very soon. That's it. These allegations are false. Done. Okay? I didn't do nothing. He could have said that too. But he doesn't. And is it because he has a history of being a little too handsy, as he says? He says later on, See what I'm saying? It's interesting, but take a listen.
And in closing arguments, your lawyer said that Rapp had made up the encounter and suggested reasons why he may have done it. It may be possible, she said, that Rapp invented it based on his experience performing in Precious Sons, a play in which actor Ed Harris picks up Rapp's character and lays on top of him, mistaking him briefly for his wife before discovering it's his son. They came back in just over an hour, and the court ordered Rapp, the accuser, to pay you £40,000.
So he paid him £40,000. Anthony Rapp did. And I'm sure Anthony Rapp still believes that what happened to him actually happened to him. I'm just saying. Okay? But this jury went in and got out within an hour and said, nah, him innocent. Wow, guys.
We have a check, I think, a picture of the check at the time. So it's an emphatic, clear victory for you. But it also, to me, again, when I look back at the statements you made, if you just hadn't made that statement in the way you made it, then your next few years could have been very different. I'm not saying they would have been,
Sure.
but they could have been.
I accept that it was a poorly thought through statement. And but again, I hope the fact that I'm not guilty of what I was accused of will, at least in hindsight, make people understand why I might have made it. And I also just would add that I hope that someday Anthony Rapp can accept that he had a faulty memory. That's what I would like to believe.
Have you had any?
He's hoping that someday. So Anthony Rapp did not go up on the stand and testify or something like that and say, "Oh no, I have faulty memory. This was all a lie. I'm sorry, Mr. Spacey. I did not mean to do those allegations." He's hoping that one day, no, because this man, because Anthony Rapp still believes that what happened to him actually still happened to him. He still had to chalk up money, though. He still had to cough up money for something that he believes. He had to pay Kevin Spacey for the crime that Kevin Spacey did on him. Can you believe that, Ish? That's called some powerful ass lawyers. That's what I'm going to say. You got to remember, you got Kevin Spacey, who is Kevin Spacey. He's done all these big movies, all that stuff. He got money, or at least, until we hear a little bit later, he broke as a joke. But he used all that money to get these powerful lawyers on his team, on his side. And then you got Anthony Rapp. He's a Broadway actor. They don't make millions of dollars like the movies. Okay? Just saying. Kevin Spacey got money, or at least had it. Okay? He could spend that bread. And still Anthony Rapp had to pay him.
Contact with him?
I have had no contact with him. But I would like to believe that at some point he'll recognize that with all the evidence that we presented at trial, which is why we were able to have the outcome that we did, that he will look back on this and say that his memory was faulty. And I think if he did that would go a long way to, I think, heal himself and also be healing for me.
One of the key reasons that I think it led to such an emphatic decision by the jury was John Barrowman, an actor well known in the UK, stepped forward for you. He was about 19 at the time, I think, and he was there at the same time.
Yes.
And he was emphatic that this just didn't happen.
Well, he was emphatic about the fact that really the foundation for Anthony's claim was that he had gone to a party that I had thrown where he had escaped into a bedroom, and that later I came into that bedroom and swayed in a doorway. Well, I had no bedroom. There was no doorway. There was no party. And the only time that he was in my apartment was with John Barrowman after we had had dinner together and they wanted to come and meet my dog. So again, I think there must be reasons why this happened. And I'm trying as best I can in a lot of these cases to seek understanding and not judgment. My best friend in this world and manager, Evan Lowenstein, has worked very hard with me over these years to try to help me get to a place where I come out the other side of this, not bitter, not angry, not revengeful, but more compassionate, having more empathy, more understanding, being more present, and working on myself in all the ways that I have over these last 7 years.
What was going through your head when this all was going down in the first few days? Because you were the double Oscar winner, star of one of the biggest shows on television around the world.
You are the chosen one, and not so much anymore.
House of Cards, and then suddenly, you're talking to Ridley Scott about this big movie. It's everything. Life could not have been going better for you. I'm seeing you in Hollywood, the toast of the town, presenting to one of the all-time greats an award, making a funny speech. Everybody laughed. You were really, pretty much near a peak of your life, I would have thought. And then bang, it's all gone.
And in all honesty, I'm not sure that I was really able to process much of what was happening.
You had plenty of time to process what was actually happening. And let me just say this real quick, okay? Maybe all this happened after you made that movie Beyond the Sea. Yeah, I said it. That movie was trash. Sorry. Not sorry. Let's move on to the next part, though. We got another piece. It's almost right. It's almost back to back here. It's about right here. See, thank you. See, somebody else agreed with me. Okay, yes, Tyler. Somebody agrees with me. People agree with me. All right. Beyond the Sea was trash. All right. Sorry. Like I said, I was a Kevin Spacey fan. I thought he was a great actor. I thought he was great at this stuff. I thought House of Cards was his wheelhouse. I was like, yes, finally a good show. You know what I mean? Finally something really, really good to get really excited about and just binge watch, right? But then this is weird. And another thing I want to say is this a moment where we are watching him put on his actor hat? Are we watching Kevin Spacey play Kevin Spacey? Is this Malkovich? Remember being John Malkovich? Anybody remember that movie? And Malkovich goes inside his own head and everything's Malkovich. Yeah. I feel like we're watching Spacey. Like he's playing a role. That's just what it feels like to me. Listen, he's been exonerated. He should be able to go and live his life, right? But does it mean he's uncanceled? Does it mean he gets to come out here and work? He's already came out. But if he's allowed to get out here and work again, are people going to line up and watch his movies when they show up on Tubi and all that? Will he climb the ranks back up to an A-list actor? Because he's been exonerated. Because he has the likes of Elton John and whatnot backing him up. I'm just saying. Just saying. And no shade to Tubi. I'm just saying Tubi's climbing the ranks too. Watch Tubi blow up, and everybody's gonna be like, "Yo, did you see that new movie on Tubi? Yo, it was fire though. Whoa, watch Tubi take over." Okay. But again, I know some people will say, "Hey, he's just being honest." I see somebody said, "I don't see it, Pascal." Maybe you don't see him. Oh, you don't see him maybe climbing back the ranks and getting back his glory, right? There may be, he may not ever be able to do that. But then again, there's plenty of movies that need to be acted, and I'm sure there's plenty of directors and new movie directors that would love to work with him because he still is a name. Okay, shoot, Amber Heard is still working out here, by the way. She's still out here working, guys, allegedly. So there's plenty of there's plenty of opportunities for actors to act. You never know. We'll see that. We'll see what happens here. But let's get into the next part. This next part is him talking about how you went to rehab. This is some Diddy-ish. All right, let's take a listen.
Were made to punish me. I went into rehab. I immediately, I didn't know if I was going to survive, and I just needed to go take care of myself. And I was enormously grateful that Evan encouraged me to go do that.
I really do feel like this is a paint by numbers moment. I'm just saying that really quick, just so you know. Just getting it out the way. Let's continue.
What would have happened if you hadn't done that?
I don't know. It was a very unusual experience for me because I'd never been in therapy. I'd never looked into myself in the ways that I was being asked to. I remember there was maybe the first or second day that I was there, one of the guys that had been assigned to me as sort of my angel, my big brother. He looked at me at lunch one day and he said, Kevin, if you're going to get out of this program what you came here to get out of this program, you're probably going to have to do something you've never done in your entire life. And I was like, oh yeah, what would that be? He said, trust before you're ready.
Is this an acting exercise? I'm sorry. Seriously, anybody who goes to rehab, shout out to y'all, okay? Because it's tough. Doesn't matter, okay? Coming to the terms with your addictions, realizing that you have a problem that needs to be worked on, etc., all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all this, guys. But okay. Like I said, it's the Diddy approach. Paint by numbers, guys. Oh, I went to rehab. Instantly after this, I went to rehab. I realized I have a problem. You realize now, after decades of allegations, like these are decades of allegations that's strewn across. This is not just one time Anthony Rapp and he's like, oh, I need to go to rehab. This is decades, 30 some odd years of him doing alleged things to people. It's insane, but let's continue.
And he was right. I had never done that. And so that process of trusting and watching the courage and the strength that these individuals in both that program, I later went to the Hoffman Institute, I did group therapy, to watch individuals step up and share the story of their lives with such openness is what first gave me the courage to start to share my own.
Now, I will say this, all jokes aside, okay? The fact that if he really did in fact go to rehab, which I'm sure there's proof of this, if he really did go to rehab, then I commend him for it, but he could be using this as a blanket. That's the way I look at it. Oh, I went to rehab. See, okay, care for me, love me again, feel for me because I went to rehab. For whatever reason, it could be alcohol, it could be other things too. I'm thinking it's probably just alcohol, right? But at the same time, you have somebody who's finally going, okay, I need help. And yes, I think it's great that he has found a community that he can confide in, talk to people, work things out. But at the same time, do we really need to know about this? We don't really need to know about this. We don't need to know about him going to rehab. This, to me, I feel, is like him using this as a blanket. He's using this as a come back and love me again. You can relate to me now because I went to rehab. I came to terms with my demons and realized that my demons were taking over and I needed to go to rehab. Love me again. Let me act for you again. Is this performative? Or is this honesty? I'll let you guys decide. Let's continue.
Had you pretty much been leading a life in self-denial to that point?
Well, I don't think I was in denial. I think that I was leading a relatively normal life. I was closeted as a man, and I was fiercely closeted for a very long time. And now that I'm out, regardless of the fact that I came out in a way that was not the best coming out party ever, I would like to try to be as positive a voice for those who are experiencing difficulty in embracing their own selves and their own lives.
You see, already you're getting quite emotional, which is completely understandable, but it shows me that underneath, you come in, you look back to your old kind of Frank Underwood look in many ways, and yet the scars must be deep. I mean, they must be hard for you. This 7 years you've been through.
Yes, but look, I appreciate that, and as I say, there have been times when it's been challenging, but there's also been times, Piers, have been incredible. I've been able to witness genuine demonstrations of friendship, love. I'm closer to my family. I'm closer to my friends. I'm closer to myself than I've ever been.
We're going to be talking about his family here in just a minute, because Funny Mustache Man gets mentioned in this conversation as well. Oh, we going to talk about that family. So he's sitting there getting closer to who family? Who family? His funny mustache wearing, loving family? Them? All right, then.
Better person?
I absolutely believe I'm a better person.
So what was the old Kevin Spacey like when you're being critical about what you were like before the ground zero of that day in October 2017? When you look at yourself critically, what was that person like?
I think as much as I tried to be a good human being, I think that there were bouts with arrogance. There were bouts with my ego. There were bouts with, I look back at times when I think, wow, I wasn't as kind as I could have been. I wasn't as generous as I could have been. I wasn't as prepared as I could have been. I look back now at I was so focused and determined on what happened on stage and in front of a screen that I missed a lot of things that were happening off screen and off stage.
He was too busy being Kevin Spacey, making money and enjoying the attention. Let's not forget that, and this success. So all the little people don't matter. All the small roles that were played by other actors in his shows and on his set, they were just his playthings. They're nobody important. They're just his playthings. They're just pawns in his whole big-ass game of chess. Somebody said, Bernice said, I agree, his brother's a character. The whole family is weird. Yeah. I think like the brother's like an impersonator or something like that. I think that's what he is. I think he is. I need to look that up really quick. I forgot the brother's name. Hold on.
And now I'm enormously grateful.
Here we go.
That my focus has shifted. My goal is no longer to be the best actor, which it was. My goal is now to prove that I'm a man of good character. And that is my responsibility every single day, to show that and demonstrate that.
Yeah, he really did just go into the crocodile tears. Yes, he did. His brother, just so you guys know, is a Rod Stewart impersonator. Yeah. If you want my body and you think I'm sexy, that Rod Stewart. Yeah. That's real. I need to pull up a photo of him. Hold on. We're going to continue on, but that's who I'm talking about. Okay? That dude. Rod Stewart. The beating of the drum, or whatever the hell that song is. That's all I know. That's the only other. All I know is that's "Think I'm Sexy" song. That's all I know. Okay, but okay, yeah.
I just want to show you a clip. This is from your 2 Oscar wins, because it's very unusual to win more than 1 Oscar. You've done it twice.
And the Oscar is presented to Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects.
Fire movie. If you haven't seen that movie, it's so good, but man, does this suck. It sucks. It just sucks. But anyway.
Well, whoever Kaiser Soze is, I can tell you he's going to get gloriously drunk tonight.
I wonder what his vice is. But yes, he is Kaiser Soze. Kaiser Soze. He is Kaiser Soze, guys. All right? He is. Let's continue on.
And the Oscar goes to Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
To my friends, for pointing out my worst qualities. I know you do it because you love me. And that's why I love playing Lester. Because we got to see all of his worst qualities and we still grew to love him.
Kind of ironic. I don't know what you would
No
call
kidding.
it. Poignant, interesting. The kind of stuff you were saying there. You were staring quite intently at it. What were you thinking?
I was actually, I travel with a number of photographs.
Are they all photos of you groping somebody backstage at the Oscars? Is that what you were thinking about? Sorry, that's a stupid joke. Moving on.
So I just always like to have photos, things from my life. And one of the photographs I travel with is a picture that was taken the morning of the Usual Suspects Academy Awards. And it's a picture of my mother and me at the Ivy restaurant on Ocean in Santa Monica. We had this wonderful brunch that morning. And when I see that, I just think, wow, that was a morning where there was possibility. I didn't think I was going to win. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to win. I was this new kid on the block. And when I see that photograph, which I see every day, I remember that day. I remember what it meant to my mother. But I've also had to re-examine my relationship with my mother. I've had to ask questions about things that I had for a long time, my whole life, never dealt with. And that was that she didn't protect me from my father.
Okay, we're going to talk about this daddy. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Okay? Whew, okay. First off, I do want to share with you guys this. Okay? We definitely have to, we got to look at this really quick. Okay? This is Kevin Spacey's brother. Just so you know. He is a Rod Stewart impersonator. So he must have a decent voice. But he's a Rod Stewart impersonator. Pretzel said, yeah. Okay, so, but I want to, there's a reason why I'm pointing this out and pulling this up. In fact, hold on, maybe I can get this too. Hold on, guys. This is something I want to share too. Hold on. Hold on, guys. I want to share this photo with you guys too. I had to screenshot it though. So you saw that photo, right? Let me show you guys this photo. This is them before. Let me blow this up for you guys. Now, here's the thing. This is them before. You know, young, sprightly, have the whole world in front of them. And now, we have this. Now, let me just say this really quick. Apparently I watched the documentary, the Kevin Spacey documentary a couple weeks back. And I want to make it abundantly clear that there clearly is some sort of mental health issues going on in this particular family. The alleged A that this family went through, that these kids, that him and Kevin went through, is horrendous. Then on top of it, we're going to get into it. They're going to talk about a little bit of the funny mustache guy. Okay. The crooked symbol. You know what I'm talking about. All right. One of the worst, most diabolical human beings on the face of this that ever graced the face of the planet. Okay. In our modern age. They had that type of memorabilia and stuff like that in their homes whilst being SA'd by their own father, who was also saying homophobic, racist remarks in the household whilst hurting them and also SAing them, Aing them and SAing them at the same time. So to me, I look at this and I see something that's an example of mental health. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that him being a Rod Stewart impersonator is a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. But clearly, the brother has gone through some things that he still has not fully processed through. That's just what I think. And I also think the same thing with Kevin Spacey. He has not fully processed through things that he hasn't had time or hasn't had an opportunity to process through properly. Because these two went through some things. Like I said, the documentary says a lot. His brother is broken. That's how I get it from. That's what I get from the interviews and whatnot that are in the documentary on Kevin Spacey and the allegations surrounding Kevin Spacey. Now, Nancy said this. I want to pull this up because I like hearing the opposing views too. Pascal, I think you're being too hard on him. He's a human on a journey. He's no different than anyone in Hollywood. They all have an inflated sense of importance. Cancel culture ruins lives. Now, I will say this. I do agree. Absolutely, cancel culture ruins lives. That's why it's called cancel culture, right? Now, do I agree with it? Do I like it? Of course not. I think it's trash. I think it's terrible. And you're right. Humans are humans. We are all imperfect beings on this planet. All we're trying to do is perfect the mistakes that we make in life, right? We're all tarnished. We are not perfect individuals, not one of us. But at the same time, when you have a history of continually doing the same thing over and over and over again, and all these allegations do come out, it does tell you, okay, this is more than just being a human making a mistake here and there. This is a problem that should never happen, right? You need to keep your hands to yourself, right? This is beyond just got a little drunk and said something that they didn't mean. You see what I'm saying? I think there's a huge difference in continually putting your hands on a person without their consent and someone saying something that they didn't mean. That's just what I think. So I look at this and I go, yes, he's no different than anyone in Hollywood. There's plenty of actors and successful people in Hollywood, I'm sure, that have not run around and put their hands on somebody against, without their consent. I'm sure there's plenty of people out here. Look at Paul Rudd. I don't know why he came into my head, but he's like the nicest actor I've ever seen. He may be a monster behind closed doors. I don't know, but he doesn't look like the type who would put his hands on anybody. You see what I'm saying? There are actors and there are directors. There are people out here that just do good. I do believe that. I don't think all of Hollywood is just a cesspool of evil. There's got to be some good out there. At least some. Even just a tiny bit, right? But there's people out here that are out here doing evil. And they're doing it on a consistent basis because of their power, because of their status, because of their money, whatever it may be. Those people deserve to be exposed. Those people deserve to be on the cancel culture chopping block. That's just what I think. As long as they are guilty. If they're not guilty, then yes, they need to be found. They need to be exonerated. They need to have the receipts and show proof positive that they didn't do any of those things. But this one here, it's a little bit different to me. This case is a bit interesting to me because there were allegations that I believe are true allegations. I don't think that these are things that where all these men that have stepped forward are just trying to get a money grab. There are some allegations in here that are just absolutely mind-blowing. And to me, I feel like he got out by the skin of his teeth. Now, if he comes back to work again, that's on the public's decision. Okay? That's the public's decision if they want to bring him back in and go, can't wait for that next Kevin Spacey movie. That's up to the public. But at the same time, I do look at all the stuff that's being said out here about him. And you have to sift through the BS because I'm sure there's some that are BS, but some of them I do truly believe are real. But yes, humans are humans. People are people. We all need to live our lives and we all learn from our mistakes. That's why they're called mistakes, right? That's what makes us better as people. That's what makes us grow as humans. But at the same time, if you're continually putting your hands on people that are not saying yes, that is a problem. So yeah, I don't think I'm being too hard on him. I really don't. I'm just challenging the information that he's come out with because I used to be a fan. I enjoyed his work, right? Just like a slew of other people, right? So he does have some explaining to do. Lo see, right? So let's continue on. Because this part, and here it is though, too. Just because his parents had funny mustache memorabilia and stuff like that in the house does not mean that he's out here, using all that stuff, etc. It doesn't mean that. He can unlearn that hate. He can learn that his parents are crazy or they support something that's absolutely asinine and insane. Let's not forget, he is an out gay man. He was gay then too. Okay. So clearly, in that funny mustache regime, they don't look at those things, being a part of the LGBTQAI plus community. They don't look at that and say, oh yeah, we approve this message. No, they don't approve that message. He grew up around homophobia, racist remarks every single day. I'm sure he unlearned that, but he definitely learned some language as far as SA and all those things. He definitely learned those things. But did he unlearn those when he was growing up? Did he unlearn those when he finally was free from the clutches of his parents by going to college and moving to New York and all that stuff? I don't think so. I think that stuff carried on with him. But let's continue. Maybe that superiority part of that funny mustache ideology still is implanted in his brain. You see what I'm saying? I hate using these damn code words, but you know how it is. All right. But you get what I'm saying. Those things can still be implanted in his brain, and he thinks that he's superior because of his financial status, because he's because he's Kevin Spacey, right? Those things could still be lingering in his body where he thinks he could put his hands on anybody because he is who he is. He is superior. I know that might be a stretch to some, but hey, think about it for a second. Think about it.
I love her. And I was very glad that I was able to thank her in that speech and thank Jack Lemmon in the one for American Beauty. Because Jack was my
mentor for a long time.
Was my mentor and my father figure.
Your actual father was a monstrous man. I mean, he was a Nazi sympathizer, a white supremacist. There's all sorts of epithets you can give him. He was brutal, physically brutal, although not to you, I think mainly to your brother. By all accounts, an awful father to you. And when you say that your mother should have been more protective, could she have been, do you think? Or was he so monstrous that it would almost have been impossible?
I absolutely think she could have. And I'm not willing to remove her responsibility.
Mm.
I was very fortunate that my sister told me repeatedly, don't listen to him, he's crazy. My mother's attitude was, oh, he just needs to get it off his chest.
Because he was very homophobic as well.
He was, yes. And I experienced that directly.
Did you know you were gay when he was doing that?
I don't think I knew what I was. I think I knew I felt things and I was emotional when I was that young. But I've tried as best as I can to see the journey that he took from being a medic in World War II and serving the United States as patriotically as any young soldier had, and going through his albums and going through his diaries and seeing what he wrote about what he felt when he went to Germany after the war, and the slow indoctrination that happened to him with a number of people who came into his life, and how he found a reason that he wasn't able to succeed as the great creative writer he wanted to be.
Mm.
It's a sad and long journey. But I also need to seek forgiveness.
So he was angry. His dad was angry because he did not get to become the thing that he wanted to become. Interesting. So he just leaned on the funny mustache ideologies, the white supremacy ideologies. I'm sorry. It's very interesting. I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but then it's like, you went to World War II. Wasn't that to fight the funny mustache dude? Right? That wasn't it was a rhetorical question. Clearly. So what's up with that? Okay.
I mean, yes, he lectured me and my sister and my brother for hours and hours and hours and hours about his beliefs. And it was, for me, I was so afraid to bring my friends home. I mean, my best friend, Mike, who's still my great friend to this day, I was afraid to bring him home because he was Jewish.
Interesting. But here it is, Katie. Thank you so much for the comment. I feel sympathy for KS, for what KS went through as a child, but he can't use his trauma as an excuse for his own bad behavior. Break the cycle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed. At some point, you got to come through. You got to work on those traumas. You know what I mean? You got to work on whatever is going on with you. And you definitely need to break the cycle all day long. You can't just pass that on. Whatever that might be, right? You got to break the cycle as best as you can.
And I was afraid that my father would leave his door open and he would see this Nazi flag hanging there. I was terrified of what he might say.
He literally hung a Nazi flag.
Yes.
That's insane. This is out there for everybody to see. You know what I'm saying? Damn.
Yes. And so when I discovered theater in the 8th grade, and debate club and, choir and rehearsals for festivals and anything I could do that kept me out of the house, kept me from having to come home, I did. And I protected my friends from that. But it's also, that I learned at a very early age that I believed that secrets kept me safe. And I've since accepted that they really didn't, and they really don't.
Did you ever have conversations with your mother that led to any kind of reconciling for yourself about any of this?
By the time that we started to have those conversations, my mother was suffering from a brain tumor that would take her life in 11 months. But there were moments when we would talk. There were moments when I could share with her things about myself that I never had. And I'm grateful for that, and I miss her.
I mean, you know, having a conversation with your mom, no matter what, is, you know, when she's on her way out, when she's about to pass on, it's tough, no matter what. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I mean, just imagine living in that kind of situation, living in that kind of environment. It's pretty crazy stuff. The fact that there is a flag hanging in the house as you walk into the house, there it is. That's crazy, guys. Okay? And you're seeing that every single day. Every single day. It's very interesting. But we got to move on. We're moving on to the next part. Okay? We're going into the trial conversation, which I think is interesting. Oop, let me go right there. Yeah. So we're going into the trial conversation now. Okay. Like I said, we're just doing bits and pieces of this. Like I said, we're not watching the whole doggone thing. I highly recommend you guys watching the whole thing if you want to watch the whole thing. But like I said, just wanted to take a little bit of a break from all the craziness, you know, all the information, the Rex Heuermann stuff and all that, which is wild. The Rex Heuermann press conference that happened yesterday. Of course, we are, you know, the Madeline Soto information, all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to take a little bit of a break, you know, just take a little mental Friday. You know what I'm saying? This morning before we dive into some serious stuff. Tonight, or this afternoon, we're going through another big chunk of the document dump. And then tonight, we have Runkle of the Bailey on the show to talk about Karen Reed's case, which I'm really looking forward to. Again, that's going to be at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay? So yeah, we got miles to go before we go to sleep, y'all. So let's get into this part. Okay, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to do that. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Please crush that subscribe button. Check out my Patreon. We are getting some conversations with members over there. Okay, we got conversations brewing from all the stuff that's going on in the world and all the updates that have happened recently. So please hop over there, get into the conversation, become a member over there as well. Okay. Anyway, let's take a listen to this. This has to do with the trial and with being canceled. Let's take a look at this.
The criminal case, you were found again not guilty. You know, when you mention Kevin Spacey's name, if they haven't seen any of the recent interviews you've done, you could be forgiven from a lot of the coverage about you in thinking that you must have been convicted. You know, you're not working. Your acting career has been frozen for 7 years. And yet you were found not guilty in a criminal court, and you were found not guilty in a civil court as well. Why have you been so emphatically cancelled, do you think?
There are no adults in the room. To some degree. I mean, look, I'm grateful to you and people like you who have, I'm not going to say you've supported me, but you definitely have supported the idea that has surrounded me of I wasn't offered a due process in sort of the public arena.
Well, you weren't. There's no question. You were found guilty by the court of public opinion, which happens so often to people in all different ways, some trivial, some serious. But I also believe just in fairness. You know, you were taken through the court process in a criminal trial and a civil trial, and you were found not guilty. And when that happens to people, a sort of ongoing prosecution because people just want to nail you strikes me as not very fair.
Well, I think that we have experienced this before in our history, and certainly my industry has experienced it before. And even though they promised they would never allow that to happen again, I'm talking now specifically about the blacklist, which was, a lot of people talk about the Hollywood 10 and Dalton Trumbo, and we know about those people, but there were more than 479 people whose lives were largely destroyed by being accused of being communists. And the media was a partner in that. I mean, you go and, there's an incredible book about Charlie Chaplin called Charlie Chaplin versus the United States of America.
Yeah.
And it is extraordinary. The number of columnists who were talking to the FBI, talking to Hoover, and then writing stories about people who, Lee Grant couldn't get a job for 12 years because she wouldn't testify against her husband in front of the House on Activities Committee on American. And so we've seen this before. And I think that I'm not an expert in this, but what I've observed is that there is a lot of fear. People are afraid for their own careers and their own positions if they stand in solidarity with somebody who has been found not guilty. And I hope that as time goes on, that will begin to shift in the right direction.
Let's still head on with.
Let me just point this out really quick. All right. I just want to bring some reality to y'all. Some of y'all will sit here and go, yeah, he canceled. We ain't going to see nothing for him. Justice. Yeah. But I just want to remind you of one person that's still out here working. He's an actor as well. And he did some very bad things too. Mel Gibson. You got his face in your head now? Mel Gibson. Braveheart. Lethal Weapon. And a slew of other movies. That mother lover's still out here working. That dude screamed on a voicemail, I hope you get R'd by a bunch of N-words. He said that. And he's still out here working. So yeah, as what Kevin just said, damn right. Give it time. Give it time. This too shall pass. And he'll be back up doing movies. He won't be the headliner. They'll put his name will be in the credits, of course, but he won't be the headliner. Like Mel Gibson did a movie with Mark Wahlberg just recently. It was like a pastor something. I forgot the name of it, right? Some dude finding God and all that stuff, right? He did a movie. He was acting in the movie with Mel Gibson or with Mark Wahlberg. Mark, Yeah, come on. Feel it. That guy. Good vibrations. That guy. Marky Mark. Did a movie with that dude just a couple years ago. His name wasn't in the titles. It wasn't like Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson in. It wasn't that. But he was in the movie. So he's still making movies. He also still headlining movies. He's doing just fine. Let's not forget Chris Brown as well. See Breezy. Let's be real. He done did what he did. He has not denied him doing what he did to Rihanna. And he's still out here body rolling and everyone going crazy over him. So he's doing just fine. So for a fact, we're hearing this right now. Give it 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Give it within these 10-year mark. He's going to be out here in a movie or a couple of them. He even may do the whole Nick Cage, the Nicolas Cage approach and just start pumping out movies. Nicolas Cage started just cranking out all kinds of crappy movies because he owed a lot of money to the IRS. I don't know if you know about that. That's why, if you've ever wondered, why is Nicolas Cage in so many freaking terrible ass movies as of late? He is an Oscar winner. Okay? Have you seen Matchstick Men? Have you seen Leaving Las Vegas? These are all great movies. Nicolas Cage suddenly just jumped off the deep end and just said, F it, I'll take any script you give me. And he just started cranking out crappy movies. And you're like, wow, he's in everything. None of them are on the silver screen. They're all going straight to streaming. Why? Because he owes the IRS monies. So, give it time. Kevin Spacey will be back. And he will be acting again. No one will pay no mind to it. They'll be like, who that guy? Oh, yeah, he was in that one movie. That one, watch. And then the girl will be like, oh, yeah, that man's Kevin Spacey. He had a whole lot of allegations, but I guess he was exonerated, you know, baby. But yeah, let's check out the movie. We already seen everything else 5 times. So let's check out this movie. Boop. Watch. I even oh God. I even watched a Mel Gibson movie just a few months ago. I know. Don't come at me. The reason why I did is because there was nothing else to watch. Okay? And I didn't feel like rewatching 15 other movies that I've seen a million times before. So I was like, F it, I'll watch it. And the movie was terrible. It was so bad. But he's still out here acting. He is still out here acting, guys. So, it's coming for Kevin. Watch. And he'll take any script. Watch. He'll take anything at this point. Because he's broke as a joke. But let's continue, guys.
Some of the cases. One was Los Angeles masseurs who didn't want to be named, claimed that you had groped him at a house in Malibu in California, sued you for sexual battery, gender violence, battery assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress and false imprisonment, and then died before the legal action reached court. What do you want to say about that?
Well,
because as you know, social media was ablaze after that. This was all obviously a sinister thing. Maybe this guy had been shut up, blah, 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 the usual
yes.
Well,
stuff. They're actually...
But in terms of the legality of the case,
right.
What is your response to it?
My response to it is that we had irrefutable evidence to show that I wasn't even in the state of California when he made this accusation had occurred.
No.
And we were very confident that we were going to be able to present, as we have in other cases, that evidence. I also would simply say this was a man who was over 60 years old. And so there's lots of stories about me, enjoying the company of younger men. So this was the first time I was accused of abusing a senior citizen. And, we found out from his family that he had cancer prior to filing that civil suit, and he died of cancer. And, it was sad, but we never had the opportunity to go in front of the court and to prove our innocence. There have been a couple of other stories about alleged accusers who also passed away,
right,
which are entirely not true. In the first place, one of those people was not an accuser. She was a stalker. And in fact, stalked me for many years, sent white powder in the mail to the Old Vic Theater, called in bomb threats to the Old Vic Theater. We had to evacuate the theater on a number of occasions, and threatened my life. And she was arrested, charged, and convicted in a court in the United States and served more than 4 years in prison. And when she got out of prison, she started making more threats. And it was being examined by the court whether she was going to go back to prison when she was hit by a car and died of her injuries.
I'm sorry. It may be nothing, but you said what? She had stuff and then she got hit by what? Hold on, man. You just saying it like it's just like, we just, forgot to turn on the air conditioning when we left. You know? And we forgot to turn off the central air before we left for the whole weekend. It's on. It's fine. It'll just be an expensive electric bill. What? Hold on.
Charged and convicted in a court in the United States and served more than 4 years in prison. And when she got out of prison, she started making more threats. And it was being examined by the court whether she was going to go back to prison when she was hit by a car.
So yes, allegedly he had his own baby reindeer situation. But in this particular situation, there's a tragic ending to this story. It's not like, it's great. These are allegations that are all wrong. They're allegations. God hasn't made no sense. None of that. She got hit by a vehicle. So I'm curious, what happened to all the other people too? Is it the same thing? Did all of them get hit by cars and stuff? And they couldn't show up to testify, etc.? Like I said, she got hit by a car. Baby reindeer got hit by a car. This one, though, interesting, right? Lurking, making allegations. What's up with all of that? Let's continue, though. He had his own baby reindeer, though. And she got hit by a car. Yeah.
And died of her injuries. And there was someone else who had told a funny story about having had an encounter with me in which I made a pass at him. He told it in a very jokey way. And then sadly...
He's dead too? I don't mean to laugh, but I'm sorry. Are you about to tell me, bro, he's dead?
He'd been an individual who had a lot of issues and a lot of substance abuse, and he was fighting back and talking about mental health. And he had a book that he'd written. And in that radio interview, he told this story. A year later, when he sadly took his own life.
Kevin Spacey's got bodies. Sorry, I had to say it. I was coming from right here. I just had to get it out. Kevin Spacey got the bodies. Okay, let's continue. How did baby reindeer go bye-bye? She got hit by a car. She can't even address these allegations. Can't even talk about those things because she got hit by a car. Then you got another person, had things to talk about. He says, he had addiction problems and he was substances and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. And now him dead too. Golly. Come on, man. How convenient, don't you think? The accuser actually even wrote a book. He sat down and scribed multiple pages of a book. And this man is no longer alive. Okay. Are we watching House of Cards in real life?
Someone then said that he'd accused me of this, that he was a victim, and there was no court case with him. There was no court case with this woman who was a stalker. So this is just internet, conspiracy theories.
On the criminal,
it's not conspiracy if those people were actually real and those people actually did perish. And you just said that. So that's not speculation. You just said those people gone and they were a part of a very, very big, big lawsuit. So that's weird.
Trial, you were charged with 9 sexual offenses against 4 men between 2004 and 2013. And you were found not guilty on all counts. Now, a criminal trial is, by definition, a lot more serious than a civil case. Civil case, the bar can be a lot lower.
Right.
For guilt, and we found not guilty there. When you're facing a criminal trial of that magnitude, had you been found guilty on all counts, I mean, you would likely have gone to prison for a considerable period of time.
I believe so, yes.
Did that thought play on your mind a lot? I mean, how does that feel? You're an Oscar-winning actor, and suddenly you're facing a trial where someone may take your liberty away for years.
Only if we'd had a crazy jury. Only if people hadn't actually listened and taken the time to weigh the evidence that we presented in our defense would that have ever been possible. But we were very, very fortunate. I had an incredible team. Evan was a part of that team, even though he's not a lawyer. But what we were able to present as facts, there was really, I mean, look, the day it happens, I mean, the actual day where they're gonna come in and tell you what the verdicts are. Yeah, you're definitely, I was definitely like, you know, what if this doesn't go the way I hope? But as each count was read, and as each time the juror said, not guilty, I knew that we had presented the right case. And I knew that we had the evidence to prove I was not guilty of those things that I was accused of.
Elton John and his husband, David Furnish, both gave witness statements, Elton by video from his home in the south of France. What did that mean to you, to have people of his stature step up for you?
Did he write it in a song? Goodbye, Kevin Spacey. Did he turn it into a? I'm just sorry. I'm gonna play a little bit of this part of the Elton John part, but we're gonna move on to the next chunk here in just a second.
You've actually just reminded me that Elton was the first email I got on October 30th of 2017, after the rap story had come out, saying, we love you, whatever you need, we're here for you. And Elton has been there, and David had been there ever since. What's most interesting about the fact that they testified in the trial in the UK was that I didn't ask them. I told them a piece of information that one of the accusers had said about them, which was not true. And Elton and David said, well, we have to testify. And I was like, well, are you kidding? No, we absolutely have to testify. We have to let the jury know that this individual is not telling the truth. And they insisted on it. That's the kind of friends that I have, that I've been very fortunate to have in my life.
He's very fortunate to have very strong, popular influencer celebrities on his side. For sure. Because here's the thing. Let me just say this too. Them sitting there going, like, for example, the party that Anthony Rapp was allegedly at, that he now says, that Kevin Spacey now says never happened, that he only went over there during to see his dog or something like that with another person there, doesn't mean that the party didn't happen. Just because you have an eyewitness of Anthony Rapp meeting Kevin Spacey one time does not automatically mean that there wasn't a party later on that he was randomly invited to. Anthony Rapp was randomly invited to and then was cornered by him. Just because it was 30 years ago and Anthony Rapp, for example, I'm just using Anthony Rapp right now, may not remember exactly the owner of the house that the party was in or the apartment that the party was in, does not mean that it didn't actually happen. Just because he goes, oh, my bedroom doesn't have a door and it doesn't have a doorway and all that stuff. All those things are just details, and I get those details are important. But at the same time, you're going off of something that happened 30 years ago. It could have been at somebody else's house. There could have been an interaction at somebody else's house at somebody else's party that Anthony Rapp thought was actually Kevin Spacey's home and Kevin Spacey's party. That does actually happen, right? Once, like, you guys watch this show, I'm wearing a red hat right now. Tomorrow, you might talk about it and be like, oh, yeah, Pascal was wearing a black shirt and a black hat. Then you come back to it and you're like, oh, wait, no, that detail's wrong. White shirt, red hat. Details can change, especially think about 30 years later. So that one small detail can be something. Now, this is the other thing too. Okay. Elton John and the other guy, right, that came forward and said, "Oh yeah, I want to speak out and I want to be there for you," and all that crap, right? They may speak on your behalf as far as character, but that doesn't mean that they weren't that they were there to see the interaction or the moment of SA or SM, this S misconduct that you're being alleged of doing. Sure, you've met them. Sure. Oh, yeah, I met him and he was there and they got to meet, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean that you couldn't have hit up that guy and say, "Hey, come on over. Let's hang out. Let's have a beer. Let's have a drink, blah, blah, blah." And then next thing you know, you're making a pass, an unwarranted pass without Elton John there. You see what I'm saying? But then you have Elton John coming in being like, "Oh, he's a stand-up man. And before I leave, I want to play this song. Hold me closer, tiny dancer." You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, it's a character witness, fine. But at the same time, does it stick? And I will say this too. I believe that someone like Elton John could very well be manipulated because he knows Kevin as one way, as the good guy he may be showing. That mask he puts on in front of Elton is probably a lovely, wonderful thing because he's Elton freaking John. He's Sir Elton John, right? So of course you're going to be like, he's on a whole other, he's legendary. He's beyond legendary. He's Elton John. So I'm going to be nice to him because he's up there. Yes, I'm Kevin Spacey, but he Elton John. So he's on the other tier. So I'm going to be respectful to him and give him my best face forward. Elton John could very well be manipulated here. They could be close, but they may not be that close. I'm just saying. But it is nice to have friends like that. You know what I mean? No. We have to testify. We have to testify on his behalf. There's no way we're going to let this happen to our boy, Kevin Spacey. And then all of a sudden you got Elton John video calling into the trial. My dear Lord. He came in set, suited and booted. He had an arsenal, okay, on his side. It's crazy. But let's continue on. We're going to get to the next piece. Like I said, we're just going to bits and pieces. It's great. I'm sorry. Baby reindeer. Okay, so let's continue on. I can't believe those two people are gone, though, that were involved in the Kevin Spacey-ish. Two of those accusers. I know they both had their own problems, mental health, etc., but they are both gone. That's crazy to me. Some people will look at that and go, is that by Kevin Spacey's doing or no? But I'll let you guys decide that. Now we are talking about the Me Too discussion. Let's take a look.
Which many think has gone too far. Do you think the pendulum post Me Too, you were caught up in that first wave, that hysterical first wave that saw many people taken down, but do you think it's gone too far?
Well, I could say yes, and not just in my particular case. There have been others that I feel, they may have been inappropriate. They may have done something that they wish they hadn't done, but I didn't think that what it was, and maybe what they even admitted to, was so heinous that they should have lost their career or their ability to make their livelihood. I think that is too far. But I also think we have to be mindful that it doesn't swing back too far in the other direction, because, you mentioned in 2017, the Harvey Weinstein investigation, I think had impact. I think Me Too had impact because the New York Times, its journalists, its editors, Ronan Farrow, and the people he was working with, They investigated those claims for more than a year before they went to print. They were confident at what they had.
Did you know Harvey Weinstein was that guy?
Sure. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. I did a couple movies for Miramax.
But did you know what he was like?
I knew I had a lot of arguments with him, but I didn't know anything about what was going on privately. No, not at all.
People have tried to lump you in with him. How do you feel about that?
I try to understand that people want to resolve things very quickly. And all Evan and I have been working on for a long time is asking people to ask questions, to find out, to not believe a headline that you might read. I mean, I see all kinds of things that people say they believe is true, and there's no truth to it whatsoever.
When you yourself, as you did a few minutes ago, you talk about bad behavior you committed. What do you mean by that? What's your idea of bad behavior?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Pushing the boundaries.
In what way? I mean, being
too handsy, touching someone sexually,
groping people
in a way that I didn't know at the time they didn't want.
Yeah, we could stop the whole show right here. You know what I mean? Case closed. Hold on, I'm going to rewind that one more time for you guys to hear that in the nosebleed seats. He said what again? Because, he explained that a little bit, but he did say some stuff that he just got exonerated on. He just admitted something that he has been exonerated on. Did you just hear that? To me, it sounds like he's admitting it. Just so you know. I'm rolling it back.
Read. I mean, I see all kinds of things that people say they believe is true, and there's no truth to it whatsoever.
When you yourself,
oh my
as
God,
you did a few minutes ago, you talk about bad behavior that you committed. What do you mean by that? What's your idea of bad behavior when you look back at what you were doing?
Okay, just now we're queued up. You let me know if this mother lover just admitted it.
Pushing the boundaries.
In what way? I mean,
being too handsy, touching someone sexually,
groping people
in a way that I didn't know at the time they didn't want.
Isn't that what the allegations are there for? Isn't that the description of what these allegations are? Because it just feels good. I'm just going to do it anyway. Shiver me timbers. You're telling me that this guy just got exonerated from all this stuff, and now he's describing literally it's almost like he went into Google and Wikipedia, gave him a glossary terminology of what groping is, right? Of what putting your hands on somebody without their consent is. And he just said, I've been too handsy. What? What does that mean then? Putting my hands on people in a suggestive manner, not knowing that they didn't want that. Isn't that what you were in court for years about? Isn't this the reason why you lost your career? Okay. Okay, Kev. Okay. But to me, that sounds like he just admitted it. But okay, let's continue on. I'm wondering if Piers is going to push. I wonder if he's going to push. Huh.
Yeah.
Some people would say that is criminal. That if you grope people in a sexual way against their wishes.
Yes, it would be. I don't know about you, but I don't need somebody coming up and just trying to grab thy scrot out of nowhere. Sorry, not interested in that. You know, just walking down the street, you know, hanging out, doing my thing, and somebody just comes up and grabs thy scrot out of nowhere. Yeah, homie. Or ladies, what are you doing? You are now invading my 3 feet of space. So why was he found not guilty on all charges? Something to think about, guys. Just against these people's will, against their consent, and he still walked. And now he's out here going, I just want my career back, and I want to thank everybody who was there holding it down for me, and now I'm broke. I'm losing my house. Come on, guys. Come on. He just play the damn video. He just admitted it. Come on, man. Damn.
But that is a crime.
I agree that the word grope is a very odd word. I personally...
it's not an odd word.
I have caressed people. I have been gentle with people.
Really?
That is the way that I am. You're making a pass at someone. You don't want to be aggressive. You want to be gentle. You want to see if they're going to respond positively.
Do you notice that he's trying to walk it back? Notice he's trying to walk it back right there. Am I the only one who sees that he's trying to walk it back? Am I the only one who's trying to see that notices that he's trying to walk it back? Let's be real. Like, come on, man. Come on. You were the chosen one. You literally are sitting there going, well, you know, I happen to caress. Because, of course, you don't want to be aggressive. You don't want to do that. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to know the right situations. You got to know if that person even still is interested in you in that way. You don't just walk up to somebody and just go, ha, ha, to them. You just don't do that. You don't. He's trying to walk this thing backwards. He's trying to crip walk. Okay, throwing up gang signs. Okay, crump backwards. Okay, now he's sitting there going, "Oh, caress." Now it's a caress. I wasn't being aggressive. Well, when you put your hands on somebody's body against their will, against their consent, that, my friends, is groping. That's not a caress. That is a against their consent. That is a big problem. But he still got off. That sounded weird. He was still exonerated for all of these counts. But he's out here on Piers Morgan saying otherwise. Okay, let's continue.
So I think the word itself is not a word that I associate with my experience.
Hold on. I'm sorry. That's 4744. 4744. I'm sorry. I got to roll this back one more time because now he's trying to define grope, please. Can you define grope? So hold on.
You look back at what you were doing.
Pushing the boundaries.
Pushing the boundaries.
In what way? I mean,
being too handsy.
Too handsy.
You know, touching someone sexually.
Groping people.
In a way that I didn't know at the time they didn't.
Okay, just to make sure, it is Piers that puts the groping word in there. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not losing my mind. All right. That is, let's continue on. Back to where we were.
Associate with my experience.
But would you say all of that was consensual, or was it an attempt at seduction that, if it was repelled, by definition becomes, I guess, non-consensual.
No
if
doubt.
you're being handsy, if you're groping people, and
Well,
they don't want to do it,
then they should let you know they don't want to do it so that you can understand it's non-consensual and stop.
Okay. So here's the thing. All right. Let me explain something to you guys. I'm sorry we got to break this down, but we do. All right. First off, keep your doggone hands to yourself unless that person's okay with that. Unless you guys are in the throes of something going on. You know what I mean? If there's already a kiss, etc., so on and so forth. You're not going up to somebody and going, hey, see my weed whacker? Let's see it. It's all yours if you want it. You don't do that. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't walk over to somebody and just put your hands on them in areas. You just don't. Okay? Unless it's a situation in which you guys are getting handsy with each other. Okay? But it's a consensual thing. You got to understand, it's not like he's walking into the coffee, all right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of am. Okay. Oh, you got me weak on that one, Dolphin. That's a good one. You know what I mean? See, when he walks around and the defense is going this, and then he goes into the end zone. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it's not like you're going into the coffee, into like the break room or something of that sort and just grabbing somebody, right? Just out of nowhere. That is being more than just a little handsy, okay? That is really doing something out of the blue and out of character, okay? And of course, unwarranted. But if it's a situation where you guys are together, you know what I'm saying? You guys are doing your thing, blah, 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 together, you know what I'm saying? Then that's a different story. Hands go everywhere, right? You're all in your feelings. Get what I'm saying? And that's fine, right? But if you're just walking up to somebody, hey, great day today, it doesn't make sense. And it's wrong. And for the fact that he's sitting there going, well, you know, if they didn't like that stuff, then they need to tell me that. And, you know, then everything will be fine. Everything's going to be Gucci. But you got to remember the place that you stand at, my brother. You are Kevin Spacey on a huge hit TV show. You are the star of the show. These other actors look up to you. They see the kind of influence and power that you have. They see opportunity through you. So of course they don't want to mess with that. Of course they don't want to anger you, because they can lose their job. Just by you snapping your fingers. Just by you saying one bad thing to a producer or a director. I'm not really feeling that guy. You know, he smells funny. You know, he keeps looking at me weird. Yeah, this guy came up and he said something weird. I don't know about that. And then they're going, hey, what's that kid's name? Michael? Yeah. Can you have Michael come over here for me, please? Yeah, thank you so much for your time. But I think we're going to go a different direction with your character. But I appreciate you coming in. You know, we can always replace you with somebody else. Like I said. It's not right. So you can't sit there just randomly walking up to somebody and going, you know, hey, what are you doing today? You know, what's your day like? Oh, the schedule's really busy. You just go like that out of nowhere. Of course, they're going to be sitting there going, whoa, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Or they sit there frozen and terrified because they realize that they have mouths to feed, rent to pay, and they have a roof over their head that they have to make sure stays over their head. And people like him know this. So they don't say anything. So to me, this is trash. Just saying. Real quick, let me get this super chat really quick. Carbonize, thank you so much for the love. Legend says it. If you don't hit that like button, your cornbread will flop in the middle. Protect your cornbread. Damn right. Okay. Smash that like, please, and thank you. S Dubs, thank you so much for giving the love. Gifting one membership, and that person who just got gifted, she is passing on some positive energy to you. So please pass that positive energy to somebody else. Do us a favor. Open a door. Buy somebody a drink, coffee, Coke, whatever it is. Okay? Do something positive for somebody. Call your dad this weekend. Okay? Tell him that you love him. All right? If your dad was a good dad. I'm not trying to unearth, weird, deep-seated things. But if your daddy was good, give him a call before Father's Day and tell him that he's dope. That's all I ask. I'm doing it for the fellas. You feel me? For the fellas. All right. Let's continue on, guys.
So that brings me back to the point I made about if they're a young male actor and it's Kevin Spacey and he's had a few drinks and they're in the bar late at night and he gropes young male actor and they may feel they don't want to be part of that. They don't like what's going on. But they don't want to tell you because you're Kevin Spacey and it might damage their career. Do you understand how people could think that if they were young and impressionable and keen to get on in their careers? When you reflect on those moments.
Yes. And again, recognizing that, understanding that, and making a vow that will never happen again for the rest of my life.
Oh my God.
Never behave in the ways that I did previously.
Do you hear that? Still to me admitting, but yeah, that scared me, having helped the cornbread. Let us join together in prayer on behalf of the cornbread. May it forever be. I'm sorry. The cornbread. I'm done. May it forever be buttery, fluffy, and never dry. I'm done. Okay, so he's still admitting it. Do you see what I'm saying? He's like, now I'm never going to do this kind of stuff ever again. I'm never going to do this again. He's admitting it again, guys. This is crap. Everybody, here's the thing. And this is going to sound so ignorant that I'm asking this, but for those of y'all who are across the pond right now, do you guys eat cornbread? Is that a part of your dish? I know Trace is across the pond. I'm curious. Wow. Wow. You never heard of cornbread? Wow. Are you lying? You're lying. But she's across the pond. That's why I asked. See, I'm not crazy. See? Okay. Oh my God. Okay. We got to continue on though. Oh my God. But he's admitting it, guys. Y'all never heard of it? Wait, hold on. Wait, Jane even said, ain't never tasted it here in the UK. She said, ain't never. Man, you guys, this is diabolical. That you ain't had no cornbread? Ah! Okay, hold on. Let me just, hold on. I know this is a little bit of a sidestep. This is a hell of a sidestep. Sorry. Hold on. You ain't never had no damn cornbread. I'm sorry. Oh my God, you ain't never had no cornbread. Hold on. I thought I was crazy asking this question. Ignorant as hell. But you ain't never seen no damn. Hold on. I'm about to educate you guys on some Southern delicacies, okay? Oh my word. You ain't never had no cornbread. Hold on. Real quick. Left turn, but look at this cornbread. All right? This stuff is fire. I don't know why y'all ain't never had no cornbread. Okay, this is cornbread. See, now my mouth is watering because it sounds so damn good. A little bit of a left turn, a little break, but this is just homemade cornbread. But it's delicious. Somebody, Trace, do not play with me. Do not even, Trace, what are you You ain't heard of hush puppies? Oh, man. Okay, well, first off, hush puppies are trash. I'm sorry. I know some people love hush puppies. I don't. Okay? I'm sorry. But you ain't had but see you could damn the hush puppies. I'm talking about the cornbread. You ain't never had cornbread. Wow. Okay. That is something new. That is something that's diabolical. You might want to look it up. Check it out and try it. It's good stuff. Okay? So let's get back in here, okay? But no, hush puppies are trash. They're terrible. So you're not Wow, you said it's revolting? Wow. That just hurts, Trace. That just hurts. Wow. But we're going to continue on because I'm deeply offended now. I'm kidding. But you got to try it. It's not disgusting. Okay? It's actually really, really good. All right. But let's continue on. All right. He admits it. Back to our regularly scheduled program. He admits it, guys. He admits, and he says, I'm never going to do this kind of thing ever again. You wouldn't have to never, ever do it again if you never did it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Ever.
How hard has that made it for you to get a relationship?
That's a good question.
He literally just said, when was the last time you got laid?
You know, are you in one now?
I'm not in one now.
Have you had any lasting one throughout this process?
Probably not.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's been possible.
Surprise,
It must be
I think
incredibly difficult on two levels. One, you're Kevin Spacey with all these headlines and court cases and so on, which must be a deterrent to a lot of people. But secondly, you must be hesitant in yourself about making a move with anyone.
Well, if I've learned anything, I've learned that a first move doesn't have to be physical.
Congratulations, Kevin Spacey. You figured it out after being on this planet for 60 some odd years. How is he making a joke on this situation? I feel like there should be this sound effect after this, after what he said. Well, now I learned, making a move on somebody doesn't have to be physical. Really? Come on, y'all. Come on. Moving on, though, because that is trash. That's his response. Oh, my God. That is his response. Sheesh. In my personal opinion, that does not suffice. But again, this is what it sounds like to me, that he got away with it. That's what it sounds like to me. And he admits to having a history of putting his hands on people against their wishes, and that's a problem. Lisa, thank you so much for the love. Just for making us laugh. The Scottish accent was ace. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm, because later on this afternoon, it gets heavy. What we're going to be talking about gets really bloody heavy. So I'm happy that I'm able to make you guys chuckle a little bit today in this morning. It's Friday, right? It's Friday. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. But this afternoon and tonight, we get into some serious conversation, okay? But to me, this is somebody who's admitting guilt. This is what I see, all right? But let's get into this. You guys are still talking about cornbread in the chat? You guys are getting me hungry now, okay?
Services or the studios.
And some fried chicken.
And what we tend to see is that everyone's on board, and then one person, some executive somewhere says, "Oh, our audience, a lot of our audience is going to be upset if we buy this movie." And I would only ask, who are you speaking for? Because I don't think that, I would like to think that the people that stop me on the street and have stopped me for the last 7 years have been so generous and so wanting to know when I'm going to get back to work, that I think that these executives are attempting to speak for all of the British public or all of the American public. And I think that, I hope that that begins to subside, because I do believe that the majority of people would like me to get back to work.
I want to talk to you about something slightly left field, but your name was attached to another big scandal, which was the Prince Andrew scandal.
Bang.
And famously, it was reported that you and Ghislaine Maxwell were invited to the throne room by Prince Andrew. It then got briefed that you may have been the one who invited Ghislaine Maxwell.
Wow.
What was the truth
I
about
hadn't heard that one.
This is
yeah.
the throne room at the Buckingham Palace. Just
Oh, that's not good at all.
Yes.
to be clear, who invited who to this?
Well, let me try to put this in context before I even get to that. In 2002, I got a call from President Clinton, who I had become friends with over many years, inviting me to come with him on an 8-day humanitarian trip that he was going to make to Africa and South Africa. And I thought it was an incredible opportunity. And apparently he was not having great success with getting people to say yes, because it wasn't like one night in New York. It was 8 days in Africa and South Africa. The fact that it was primarily to raise awareness and prevention for AIDS, and particularly for mothers who had HIV to get the medication they needed to not pass it on to their children. So I said yes, absolutely. And in September of 2002, we took off from New York and we went to Ghana and Mozambique and Zimbabwe and Rwanda and Johannesburg and Cape Town. And this was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. The doctors and nurses that we met, what we learned about how they were treating patients, the economic development that the president was also talking about in terms of Africa and where it was going to go in the future. The people we met, we spent a day with Nelson Mandela. It's one of the most extraordinary.
Really? Really?
Just an incredible trip. Meant so much to me.
Did you pick up some boys on the way?
And then the president was invited by Tony Blair to give the speech at Blackpool and the Labour Party conference that year.
I was there.
So we flew then to London. And the president said to me, before we leave tomorrow, you want to come? I'm going to go to Buckingham Palace tomorrow and see Prince Andrew. You want to come? So I said, sure. So I'm a part of the president's party, and there must have been, I think there were 21 guests of the Clinton Foundation when we went to Africa and South Africa. So it was like 18 or so people came to Buckingham Palace that morning. And we were wandering through, and there were people brought us into the throne room, and I sat down, and a bunch of people came and sat down next to me, and a bunch of pictures were taken. And then we went up and we met Prince Andrew. I'd never met him before, have not seen him since. So that's the context. Then President and I went up to Blackpool. In 2015, I started seeing reports online, things on my Twitter account that I had flown to this guy, Jeffrey Epstein's island, and I had abused young girls. And I was like, I mean, if you'd asked me in 2015, maybe even if you'd asked me in 2002, did I know a guy named Jeffrey Epstein? I probably would have said no.
Probably would have said no. Probably would have said no. Why would you probably would have said no? You either know him or you don't. There's no in between.
Well, of course, I have since learned who he is. And I have since been able to go back and find out that the airplane that we flew on for this humanitarian mission was owned by Jeffrey Epstein. And to then learn, oh, he was actually on some of those flights.
Oh my! Wait! What? What? How would he not know? Come on, man. He would not know if Epstein, if J.E. was on the same plane as him. Come on, man.
And this Maxwell woman was on some of those flights.
Some of those flights. So GM and J.E. just happen to be on some of these flights that he happened to be on as well. Just happened to be. Just happened to be. Oh, he is crashing and burning here.
I didn't know him. I've never spent any time with him.
Except on some planes.
I was with the Clinton Foundation people. That's who I was with. Now, what I understand is that he didn't start to be investigated until 2005 by authorities in Florida. So here's what I can tell you. This Maxwell woman, she was one of many people that sat down next to me in that throne room. I have no relationship with her. I had no relationship with him. I mean, he's not my friend. I'm not a confidant. I've never spent time with him. And interestingly, I will say this. I was very fortunate that President Clinton introduced me a lot of business leaders in London because he knew I was coming to the Old Vic. And I developed relationships with Robert Earl, Pula Ladobovich, Robert Earl, a lot of wonderful people, Sir Richard Caring, people who supported the work that we did at the Old Vic and gave money to us. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, what? Who is this guy? So I will say this.
Hold on. I gotta. Oh, whoa. What did he say? It's like he fell back on his own lie.
Supported the work that we did at the Old Vic and gave money to us. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, what? Who is this guy? So.
Now, let me make sure, because I mean, obviously earlier he said that he didn't know of this J.E. guy, that he did not know anything of this guy. Now he's saying, wait a second. Oh, I didn't want Bill anywhere near J.E. because of these girls, because of these young girls. Huh? Okay. Like I said, he's crashing and burning at this part. Everything else has been well rehearsed, well planned. I don't think he expected Piers to ask him this question about J.E. or about P.A., Prince Andrew. So he's falling on his sword right now.
I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights, yeah. And that's been out. They've talked about it.
So you see that look on his face? He's like, oh, crap. Oh, crap. I said one thing and then I changed it. He changed the narrative. You heard that. He changed the narrative. At first, he didn't know anything about this guy, didn't know who J.E. was, but he was on the same plane. GM, you know who I'm talking about? Gillen. He didn't know anything about Gillen. He didn't know nothing about Jeff. Okay? Then suddenly later on in that conversation, in this whole little monologue, he goes back and says, yeah, you know, I just didn't want him anywhere near J.E. because because of these girls and all that stuff. So he knew of the guy because he's like, hey, I was side-eyeing this guy because he was awkward and weird. You know, this guy just made me feel weird, and I don't think it was a good look for Bill to be hanging out with this guy. But they were on these plane flights with these girls. So you're sitting here saying that you do know this dude. Come on, man. He just fell on his own lie. Live on Piers Morgan. I hope Piers Morgan caught that.
But here.
Oh, and he's flustered as hell right now. But I'm going to roll that back. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt him.
So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights, yeah. And that's been out. They've talked about it.
He's like, oh, well, you know, they already know that stuff. But you see, he's getting kind of flustered.
But here's my point. There's a big difference between not remembering that I met some guy and some woman on a humanitarian trip where my focus was entirely on what we were there to do, and not remembering whether I went to somebody's island.
So you're going to remember the fact that this guy was a weirdo, that you didn't like. He gave you weird vibes. And you're also going to remember now that there were littles of the female on the plane as well. But you don't remember. You got this weird selective memory, Kev. You got this very strange selective memory. You can miss me with this nonsense. You're getting caught on 4K right now.
So I never went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. I did not know him, and I never saw him or her after that morning at Buckingham Palace. He didn't even come to Buckingham Palace.
Is it true that Prince Andrew sought your assistance and wanted you to testify that Ghislaine Maxwell was your guest, not his, during that Buckingham Palace tour?
Man, Piers, see, I know some people are not fans of Piers, but I'm telling you, Piers don't give a damn. And this is what I like about this guy. He will ask the questions. And look at him ask this question. Have mercy. Man, I got to roll that back. I'm just saying, this is journalism right here. Bruh. Bruh.
Is it true that Prince Andrew sought your assistance and wanted you to testify that Ghislaine Maxwell was your guest, not his,
hamburger,
during that Buckingham Palace tour?
I heard a report about that, but at no time did anyone ever contact me on his behalf. And as I say, I'm not friends with him. I never saw him after that day.
What do you think about what's happened to him?
I mean, I don't know anything about it. It's not, I'm not going to talk about someone else's scandal, you know. My point is that I
nervous laughs. He wants to move on to the next question for show.
Had enough accusations of my own to deal with. I don't need to inherit someone else's.
He's like, back to the other allegations, back to that stuff, back to the Me Too stuff, back to the cancel culture chopping block. Not this stuff, not the JE and JGM stuff. Please, not this stuff. Can we move on, Piers? Please. Thank you.
The person I'm told has been very supportive to you in the royal family is actually the king. And he was Prince Charles. Is that true?
That is true. We were very fortunate that when he was the Prince of Wales, he loved the Old Vic. He believed in it. His grandmother had been the patron there for many years. He came to see our productions. And I was always honored to be able to do what I could for the Prince's Trust. And I wish him all the best with his health.
And when your troubles started, when the scandal blew up, he did reach out to you?
No, I haven't heard from him directly, no.
But through other people?
That may be true.
Come on, Kevin, you'll know whether that's true or not.
Well,
he's now the King of England.
I do, but you know, when you start paying your guests, Piers, then you're gonna get the.
But he did contact you.
No, he did not contact me directly. No,
but he sent a message to you.
I heard a message, yes, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next part and the last part. Here we go. This is him talking about being broke as a joke. Okay?
But I very, very, very much am so grateful that I am alive and I got through this and I'm coming out the other side of it.
Where do you live now?
Well, it's funny you asked that question because this week, where I have been living in Baltimore is being foreclosed on. My house is being sold at auction.
Really?
So I have to go back to Baltimore and put all my things in storage.
Really?
So the answer to that question is I'm not quite sure where I'm going to live now, but I've been in Baltimore for since we started shooting House of Cards there.
So how long is that?
I moved there in 2012.
So it's been your home for 12 years.
Well, not this particular place, but this place has been my home and Evan and Lucy's home since 2016.
Why is it being foreclosed?
Because I can't pay the bills that I owe.
Are you facing bankruptcy?
Been a couple of times when I thought I was going to file, but we've managed to sort of dodge it, at least as of today.
How much money do you have?
None.
Wow.
Really?
Well, I mean, you have some sense of legal bills.
Yeah.
I still owe a lot of legal bills that
You're
I have not been able to pay.
You're actually in debt.
Yes.
Do you mind me asking how much you owe?
It's considerable.
Millions?
Many millions, yes.
Boom.
The house itself is many millions.
What are you going to do?
Get back on the horse.
Start an OnlyFans. No? Oh. Never mind.
Get back on the horse.
Yes. What is interesting, because there's some parts that I keep wondering, of course I got questions on like what is real, what is fake, what is true, what was planned, if that question was planned or not. You know what I mean? I do have those questions. I cut my chin. That hurt. But anyway, so it does make you wonder, like, was that a planned out question, right? Was that something that was planned out? Or if that was something that was, he just was shooting from the hip, Piers. Like maybe he was trying to help him out a little bit, by saying, hey, tell us about your financial woes. Do you not have any money to pay your stuff, right? And then he says, oh yeah, I'm broke. And then he starts crying, right? It's terrible that what he's going through. He had to spend a lot of money to save his own butt. I get that. It's terrible. But at the same time, it is what it is. This is the bet that he made. He might as well lie in it. But what's interesting about this, though, is that as soon as he said that, then like a day or two later, this happened. Okay? He's given a chance to save his home in Baltimore after foreclosure auction is mysteriously canceled at the last minute. So there are people out here that are at least trying to felt some type of way about his interview and want to help out, or at least give him some time to figure out where and how he's going to be able to pay off these bills. At the end of the day, let's be real. He brought in, I'm sure, the best and the brightest lawyers he got. This is the reason why he's out here free, financially not obligated to pay anybody some crazy amounts of money or possibly seeing the inside of a jail cell or a prison cell. He's lucky that he had the financial privilege to have that kind of legal representation to have his back. But he goes on to Piers Morgan and he drops some information. What say you guys on this? Was it all performative? Was it the truth or was it not? I will say at one point he does say, yeah, he admits to putting his hands on people. He admits that he shouldn't have done those things and that he would never do those things ever again, right? That to me is an admission of wrongdoing. Not an admission of guilt, but it's an admission of wrongdoing. Admission on wrongdoing of something that he's been exonerated on. Think about that for a second. That's crazy. Then, of course, when you hear about GM, PA, and the sort, talking about the flights with the Clinton and all that stuff, man, you could see him backtracking. You could see him trying to walk that back as well, falling on his own sword right there on camera. And one thing that is kind of frustrating about it is that you don't hear Piers like really ride him on it. He doesn't go in there and go, "Are you sure?" You know what I mean? He doesn't go in there like, "Now, Kevin, you just said this. Are you sure this is what you said?" You know what I mean? He doesn't push that much on that, but at the same time, hey, it is what it is, right? But you can see him falling on his sword in a couple different moments in these interviews. The fact that he said, "Well, now I understand that making a pass at somebody doesn't always have to be physical," tells me that he's still completely disconnected to the crimes that he was alleged of doing. To me, it still seems like he's tone deaf, completely disconnected to the allegations that were pinned on his whole career, that tarnished and destroyed his whole career. He's going to be fine, guys. Like I said, if you got Mel Gibson, you got Chris Rock, you got all these other, not Chris Rock, I'm sorry, Chris Brown, I'm sorry. You got all these other creators, artists, etc., that have all been able to get out here and work again, and create and make music or perform and all that stuff. If they can all do it, so can Kevin. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of when he gets the gig or gets the opportunity to perform on stage or to do a movie, play a small part in a role. Somebody will offer him a script very soon. Somebody out there that's going to be like, "Well, you've been exonerated, so you good." There's worse. People have done worse, and they're still working out here, which is true and not true at the same time. But there are people out here that have been accused of doing some very, very bad things, and they are still on the silver screen. There's a litany of men and women that have done terrible things, found guilty or, by the court of public opinion, and they're still out here making money and doing what they do. So we're just going to have to see how this all transpires, because give it time. We're going to see him, I'm sure, back on the screen again, which I'm sure not everybody's happy about. Okay? I'm sure not everybody is happy about that. But Tipsy Gypsy, thank you so much for the love. Highest in the room, thank you so much. Thank you for the laughter. Hope you have a happy Father's Day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But guys, all right, that is the show. Like I said, what say you guys? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Kevin Spacey's latest performance? Is it a performance or is it an honest interview? I leave that up to you guys. Do you still think he's guilty of what he was alleged of doing? Or do you think because he's exonerated by the court that he should be able to go and move on with his life? Let me know. Comment in the comments section down below. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be back with you guys in a very short while, very, very short while, because we've got to get into this document dump. So we are going to be jumping into this very shortly. So be on the lookout for that. This is a very busy day today. Okay, so we got the document dump, and then we have Runkle of the Bailey on the show with us this evening to chop it up about Karen Reed's case. Karen Reed's trial, which has been going off the rails and on the rails and off the rails again as well. So we're going to be talking about that too. So anyway, guys, please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on those other platforms. And if you are watching on those other platforms, crush that follow button on my Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Show some love. That would be greatly appreciated. And of course, do not forget, if you're watching on YouTube, crush that subscribe button, please, and thank you. I appreciate you guys for being here. If you want to support the show, please go to my hit that join button down below if you want to become a member, or if you want to support even further and be a part of some of these member discussions that are going on Patreon. Go check out patreon.com/the Pascal Show. So the ticker going this way right now as we speak. Okay, guys. Anyway, I'm going to be seeing you guys very shortly because we got a big chunk to get through. All right. And more conversations to go today. So I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.